Hello everyone and welcome to another webinar by Royal Cyber. My name is Amar Nadeem and I'm a Senior Business Development Executive at Royal Cyber, and I'll be your host for today. Before we start, if anyone is not able to view my screen or hear me properly, kindly notify in the chat window located on the right side of the pane. Now for a start, I want to talk about what BPM is. BPM stands for Business Process Management, and it is a methodical approach that centers around to align all aspects of an organization. Headless BPM. Headless BPM is the concept where you only use BPM process server to execute process flows without any user interface. For today, let me introduce you to our speaker, Mr. Prakash. Mr. Prakash has over 11 years of experience in the IT industry. He is the lead on BPM at Royal Cyber and has successfully implemented projects in telco, healthcare, banking, and financial industries. Now, without any further ado, let me hand it over to Mr. Prakash.
Thanks, Amar. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, I have a quick word about this webcast. We are live and interactive today. We welcome your questions and feedback and urge you to take part as much as possible. We'll do our best to answer your questions during the Q&A session of the webinar. So let's get started with the deck here. So today our topic is going to be headless BPM. So the agenda of the session will be like the first slide was the Royal Cyber Incorporation profile. Next, we would see the headless software, why and what is all about the headless BPM, and we'll see the different implementation patterns, the challenges that we face on implementing the headless BPM. The list of REST operations that IBM BPM provide and the general architecture for implementing the headless BPM patterns. Finally, the BPM benefits, Royal Cyber BPM services, and finally we get into the Q&A session. So about the Royal Cyber profile, Royal Cyber is a modernized e-business solution provider specializing in software development. We are an IBM Premier Business Partner and an authorized trainer. We are headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. We have a global footprint with offices and development centers across North America, Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East region. So we have a strategic move of establishing an offshore center in Asia, which has helped us to reduce cost and provide highly competitive rates to our valued clients without compromising over quality. So what is a headless software? So headless software means which has no GUI, which is graphical user interface, and also it provides a set of API for controlling the execution of the process, and mainly it is useful when automating repeatable tasks with predefined outputs or integrating with other systems. So we don't have the user interfaces as part of the implementation, and there would be set of APIs which will be provided externally for the external system to control over the process aspects and any repeatable task or the user interaction or the human interaction layer of the task which can be controlled outside of BPM. So I assume that people on the call has a good understanding about what process is all about. The process is a set of activities which is orchestrated over the BPM notation, which would be implemented on IBM BPM IDE environment of process designer. So with regard to headless BPM process management is like it's a concept of having the process orchestration used only at the BPM engine area, and whereas the user interfaces would be developed outside of BPM. So only we have the process orchestration in place, and wherever the user screen comes in, like it can be executed outside of BPM engine, and the inputs to the BPM will be pushed from the outside user interface. So why we need headless BPM? There are quite a few reasons that we need to go for the headless BPM approach. Let's see a few scenarios of why we need an headless BPM. So in this case, when an BPM workflow doesn't require any human task, which means there is no human intervention which is required for the process, which is equally to a microflow. So whereas the BPM application, process application, is started externally, where the process is kick-started from an external application and run through its activities in the process application, and finally it completes. So whereas only you need a kickstart of the process instance, whereas the process flow orchestration doesn't have any human interface, where it flows down the line to the set of automated tasks, and finally it gets completed. So that's one scenario. So the next scenario is like there is already an existing user interface layer wherein the client has portal developed, which they would like to continue to use. Like they would be the clients would be expertise in set of user interface area of development, which they wanted to continue, which they would like to continue, and have the BPM engine only for the process orchestration. The next scenario is like the client wants to embed the existing user interface page, like want to show the coaches in an iframe area. So some clients would have separate, would not use the process portal as a whole, and they would have a set of application which is running on a different technology, wherein it will be like a portal kind of environment wherein the BPM task would be displayed on a window size. So where the scenarios like they will have 360-degree view of complete enterprise application over the window as part of a portals, and one of the portal would be BPM where they want to show up. So that's an area where you want to go for the BPM approach, headless BPM approach. And finally, if there are any other platforms which is hosted over like your IBM Worklight, so where your the user interface of the mobile app which gets controlled, which controls the process orchestration via APIs. So these are set of scenarios that you would require the headless BPM. There are quite a few implementation patterns, like use coaches in an external user interface. Like you build the coaches and it gets displayed over an external UI. Use coaches programmatically. Use external implementation, and finally the hybrid solution. So we'll get to know each one of these on our slides below. Coaches on external UI. So in this pattern, where we have the coach UIs developed at the BPM end, but that would be displayed on an external application as an iframe or a portlet on a 360-degree window. So suppose if the user want to continue with an existing portal which they use, and want to avoid IBM BPM process portal, then they would better go with the coaches on external UI. But still, on this approach, the coaches would be developed on the BPM environment. Only the showing the task completion area would not be the process portal, but it will be an external user interface of a different technology or a platform, which would be a different application altogether. So the next approach is use coaches programmatically. So in this approach, we add coaches to the BPM process, and as well we provide an external user interface outside of BPM for the user to leverage or complete the task. So it could be the user can either use the BPM coach over the process portal, or would use an external user interface provided to them to actually complete the task or kickstart a process. So how it gets connected over to the BPM engine is like we have IBM BPM has provided a set of REST APIs, and also it provides Java APIs for us for the external application to claim a user task or modify a user task output or complete a task as a whole. The next approach is use external implementation, which is on wherever the human intervention comes into picture, there would be an external activity or external implementation would be defined with inputs and outputs, and wherein the external UI would actually use the REST APIs or the Java API to actually get the list of tasks for the process instance, and then for that particular activity, it would get the input values, show them up on the user interface, and based on the decision by the user on the UI would reflect back on the BPM side of it using the REST APIs. So here, so the platform could be anything like it does not necessarily be a desktop user interface. It could be a tablet or an iPad or a mobile application, which would be used to claim the BPM task or complete the BPM task from the external platform. So finally, the hybrid solution, which has both the coaches and the external activity. So there would be a little box, decision box, which would be provided, and also even be controlled from an APV whether to use coaches or not. So when you want to go ahead with the Headless BPM coaches that you want to get defined and controlled over programmatically, that can be done, or else if you want to go with an external activity approach, which will be decided based on the APV variable value which we provide, which gets binded over your decision gateway. So you can choose either one of these, either one of the aspect of implementation. So this is the comparison chart that we see. The above one is the typical BPM approach, which has a user interface and process in one on the BPM side, engine side of it, and the beneath one is the Headless BPM approach. So this looks similar, but there is a difference between these two diagrams, which you would see. On the top one, on the typical BPM side, you have everything on one single engine, like on the BPM engine, the UI process or the EIS, whatever the data stores. So it will be all under one umbrella of BPM. Whereas in case of the Headless BPM, you would see the web pages being separated or segregated outside of BPM, which could be on any platform, like it can be on .NET or Java, so wherever, or Perl. So based on the implementation that we provide for the UI, and that gets connected over to the BPM processes via REST APIs. So this is the major difference. Like there's a separation of concern of your flow logic and your UI logic of your web pages would be separated out. So these are the next slide that we're going to see are the challenges. like from the development side, there are so generally we run a playback session with a business team to get the sign off for the playbacks, which would be in case when you build all your coaches on the BPM side of it, then it makes your life easier during the demo sessions. But whereas in case of going for an headless BPM approach, you will have to do a double side show off on your external user interface as well as that gets triggered over your BPM. So that would be a back and forth of information. Even that could be too much of information for the from the technical aspect for the business team. So that would be a challenge that we face, and also the quick debugging and testing would not be possible in case of headless BPM. Whereas in case of when your coach is built on BPM side of it, you can ready-made do the debugging and testing or any changes that can be quickly done and made available for the user. And also we need to maintain the relationship between the BPM task and related pages. So the main thing is like the payload which gets exchanged over the BPM and the external UI. So that needs to be more clarity or well documented for the sake of maintaining the synchronization between the BPM and the external UI. So any changes over the BPM business objects, or any addition of fields or removal of fields, that should be immediately get notified to the UI team for them to take necessary action or to implement the right way of synchronizing between the external UI and the BPM. So these are the challenges that we would face, that we would possibly face on development environment. Second, the next thing is the security and exception handling. So with regard to authorization and authentication, that's a double-side effort where you will have to maintain the SSO on the external UI application as well as on the BPM application, and also the handling the errors or the exceptions that comes across. So it's a double-side exception handling effort at the UI level as well as at the BPM level. So a well-documented aspect of errors or keys that needs to be exchanged. So what to display and what. So if BPM is not responding when your BPM's engine is down, so what information that need to be shown over the external UI and vice versa should be clearly defined before we even started or get started over your BPM headless implementation. So from the maintenance perspective, the version control, BPM has its own version control of snapshots, as we all know. But in case of the external UI, so a proper, a significant amount of versions that needs to be maintained for the support, and the right version should be put into or upgraded to the higher environments. So the maintenance of the versions should be maintained correctly in order to get the right versions gets deployed over the BPM as well as the other side of it. And double deployment effort, the BPM and the custom user interface on its respective platform, and an extra effort would be required for HAD or high availability considerations. So BPM, which runs on top of VAS, like we all know, so it is high availability is turned on by itself, whereas in case of custom UI, that needs to be maintained if it's other than if it is a different server or platform which is running on top of it. So these are the set of challenges that we generally face in case of on different phases of development as well as on the maintenance area. So with regard to the REST operations, IBM BPM provides a set of REST operations to handle the internal mechanics of a process, like they provide BPD related resources which controls the BPM side of it, like the BPD instances, or whatever the artifact that gets tied over as part of the process, like be it an external activity, or be it a coach, or be it an automated task. So whatever that can be controlled over the REST APIs. And the task which gets created, or the user groups, that can also be controlled over, like assigning the task, picking the task, or reassigning the task to a specific user, that can be controlled from the REST API. And also the served searches and custom searches, which can also be done. And we'll see during your demo session what are the list of other aspects of REST API that are being exposed. And apart from the BPD related resources for the BPMN, there is also people related resources services that also been exposed on the advanced part of it. And also the federated resources, which is also been exposed for controlling the federated environment for the BPD related, as well as for the people related resources, which can be controlled from the REST APIs. So that is, IBM BPM provides a default REST API portal or a REST API tester, so which has the set of operations, and also you can right away provide the parameters for a quick test or quick run of it. So which is available on your environment over HTTP hostname, on your respective hostname and port number that you provides with a / of BPM REST UI. So the BPM REST UI is a little var which is running on top of your BPM on your VAS, so which helps us to test, or a unit test environment of your REST APIs, which is exposed by IBM BPM. So this is the architecture of headless BPM approach. So wherein you have the external system implementing the user interface outside of BPM, and whereas your BPM will have the BPD and its exposed services via REST service. So that would be whenever the BPD wants to get started from an external UI, so that would be a REST API call which gets triggered over or your BPD to create an instance, and that can be so whatever the information that we pass across the BPD can be persisted over a custom database, wherein an additional set of information that can be pulled over. So for the maintenance of custom business object information, apart from your process related aspects, that can be maintained over your DB, and that would be cross-referred by the external user interface in case of showing up the task or whatever. So whatever the operation that we perform on the external UI. Another thing is like the LDAP Active Directory that needs to be commonly referred by the external application as well as the BPM, IBM BPM side of it. So authentication and authorization should be maintained by both the layers, like on the BPM as well as on your external system. So next slide, let's get into the quick demo, and then we'll get into the BPM benefits. So here, let's see a quick demo here. So here we have a little process where it has two activities. Like this is an human resource process which takes up the request parameters of requisition, which is a position for approval. Like they provide request number, requester status, and the position information, which gets triggered from an external user interface. And once that the instance gets triggered, it will be an external activity here, which would take the input of requisition, and there would be an output which would be decided by the approving manager. Once he provides a decision from the external system, then the process would further continue, which logs a decision over your infrastructure log and finally ends the flow. So this is just a small process which tells you how to create, how to execute the headless BPM approach. So this is just a BPM part of it. So for the demo, we have used the Java API. So the Java API will help us to call or to talk to the BPM engine from the Java API which is provided by IBM BPM. So I have configured this as a web project, and these are some of the supporting jars for your for calling the BPM environment. So with the help of these jar files, there should be a client app, a client class, which would take necessary step to actually call the to trigger the BPD to trigger the BPD instance and get the inbox, the list of tasks for the inbox that would be gained from getInbox method of the client. And there are documentation which are available for the BPM client. The BPM client is an interface where it provides business methods that you can leverage as part of your Java API implementation. And here we programmatically from the web page we start the BPD instance, and once the the instance gets started over, then we programmatically find the task of approve request that we see here, and once the approve request is picked via the find task, we are going to actually provide the data of approval, the decision approval over via programmatically, and complete the task, and which would complete the whole instant flow. So here, once this is completed, this task is completed, it is going to get the logs printed of the decision that we provide, and finally end the flow. So this is a BPM side implementation as well as the Java implementation of it. So let's go ahead and run the solutions. So what we have done is, like, there would be a small little page which gets opened up. Like this is the index page that we have. So we have some set of information like the request number, requester name, position, status, department, and location that would be fed to the BPM process. So when we submit, it is going to create a BPD process instance on your. Right now there are no instances, but when we start, it's going to appear an instance here, and that would be completed automatically because we have configured that way on our program. So let me start this. Let me start the application here. So I go with the request number 200 and Prakash. Status is new. Department is BPM. Location is Los Angeles. So I provide all the information, set of information, and click submit. So soon after I click submit, it is going to create a process instance, and after which the token would be created of approve request here, and even this external implementation would be queried programmatically by the Java program which is on find task, and which would take the task and provide a decision on top of it and complete the task, which would eventually complete this task, and which gets logged over your infrastructure log and finally in the flow. So just we'll gonna see a plain entry here and the decision that gets printed over the log. So these are the two output that you see. So once that is done, we would, with the help of the task ID from the Java REST API tester, we would see what all the information that we have fed in would be displayed over your get data. So I hit submit here, which takes a while to actually talk to the list of APIs that we have done. So, and it finally says completed successfully. So, which would eventually bring up an instances here. Obviously, this is completed because of the nature of the program that we have made. So here, an instance is created, and an approved task which you see is automatically closed or programmatically closed by your program, and which gets logged, which also have logged it on our infrastructure log. When we look at the log, we can see the decision is made approved, like which we have hard here. So if I want to reject the flow, so we'll see another flow which gets rejected over. So I'm going to restart, since this is a Java change. It's not a patch environment. So here again, I would give a different request number here, and position of senior developer, status of initiated, department of IT, and location is Kerala. When I hit submit, so again it is going to create a BPD instance with a different instance ID, and that would obviously get submitted completed because of the nature of the program. And this time on our infrastructure log, we are going to see that the flow is being rejected, because that's a decision that we have binded, the decision variable that has been binded over your process. So when you complete a program from your Java API, that gets binded over and that gets printed over your log. So if you want to cross check with your task ID, so there is a REST API tester that you see. This is provided by IBM. So you can see the list of APIs here. So when you hit task API and get data with the task ID of 383, and also you can type in the business object name that you want, and when you execute, so it is going to provide us with the information that we feed it. And so like 300, again, whatever that stuff that we have provided would be pulled over your API. So this is to just cross verify of what instances that we have made, and that has been executed as part of your program. So finally we come to the end of the demo. So in order to achieve this demo, so we have a little process that has been configured on BPM, implemented on BPM end, and a small web project with a set of APIs, jars, which is provided by IBM, and we have written a client class to actually handle the request for which API to use, and that has been embedded with Java servlet for the nature of the program. So this is all about the demo. So finally, on the BPM benefits, we have the complete on the BPM. When we implement on BPM, so we have the complete visibility of the process. We have the better control of what's happening with the process, because there could be several different operations which happens across the LOB. So that can be combined as part of a set of activities, wherein you have the high-level process to control all the set of activities across your LOBs, and you have a final 360 view of what's happening on your order or on your ticket that that have been raised over your BPM engine. Better handling of process instances of your process, and an increased efficiency, so that you have a federated view of environment, and to view all the tasks. You can actually perform on the task, and also tracking which can be enabled as part of your process to capture the events that has happened over your real time, and also the metrics that can be captured and that can be exposed as reports on dashboards to have the better performance of the process. So that's it. The BPM doesn't end on your implementation as is. So the actual BPM relies on your analysis side of it. So after your process goes live, so what are the set of instances that have crossed over? So that kind of metrics over your process would be highly helpful for your optimization of your process, as well as provides business benefits to actually make decision over your process. And your reports would be near real-time data analytics reports that would help you to make quicker decision of your business process, which would eventually increase your performance of your enterprise process. So it provides enhanced time and value through user-focused design capabilities, and also would include a guide for step-by-step guide for your process. And as we already seen, so it provides a higher visibility of a process of what's happening inside, and also it provides metrics of your process and capabilities to improve your process even after your stage of production. So these are the set of BPM benefits that you gain as part of IBM BPM. And we as Royal Sabre provide, Royal Sabre is a certified business partner of IBM and has gained the competency in customization and implementation of IBM BPM. Also, Royal Sabre offers a full set of IBM BPM services, which includes customization, implementation, installation, analysis, technical support, consulting, and training. So these are the set of services that we provide as Royal Sabre team. Since we also completed the demo, so with regard to the clients, we have these are the list of clients that we work with, like Ford, Walgreens, Marsh, Clayton, and Keywell. So these are some of the clients that we work closely to provide solution at the BPM front. And also we have a larger footprint across different geographical area, like Asia, Middle East, LLC, and APAC regions. We have headquarters at Chicago, Illinois, and we have delivery centers at US, North America, Asia, different centers at Asia as well. And so these are the set of awards that we have received during the year of 2013 for the Beacon finalist on IBM BPM Business Partner, and Smarter Commerce Cell for the award at 2013, and Impact Mobile Innovation Award that we received on the year 2013. So with regard to the partnership, we have premium partner with IBM, SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft. And thank you guys, and we can open the session for the Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. Thank you for the lovely presentation. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to try to unmute all the attendees. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can divert it to us one by one, if you guys have any. If you guys don't have any questions, you guys can feel free to email us at info@royalcyber. Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay, guys, once again, this has been a webinar by Royal Cyber on BPM Business Process Management. Once again, you guys can feel free to reach out to us at info@royalcyber.com. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.